Welcome back to Season 2 of Instant Experts, the things you need to know explained by people who don't know them. In other words, a laugh at the world's crooks, fuckwits and morons designed to entertain you in the car, on the train or at that funeral. Brought to you by the Honk.
Hello.
And me, Henry Lee.
Henry, what a pleasure to be back with you.
And for those of you interested in what happened to Season 1, it remains unreleased as it's still stuck in the courts. We've been sued by Alan Jones, Matt Gates, and the estate of WWF legend Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
And that's why we're also operating under stage names for the foreseeable future in an undisclosed location. Anyway, we've had a good break. Honk, what did you get up to and what stories caught your eye?
Well, where does one even begin? I mean, there's so much to cover in this episode. Obviously, we're going to have to talk about the Trump White House and so much the gift that keeps on giving. We'll be talking about...
Action aplenty. Stooges all over town.
Yeah, I mean, that is the man. We've got to thank President Trump. He is the man for whom the show was created.
Correct.
It's created more instant experts all over the world than just us and than in the history of humankind. But a lot to cover on the show from the Trump White House. We'll be talking about pardons, the state of nominees, changes to media protocols.
Greenland.
We've got to talk about Greenland, so foreign policy, Greenland. What else are we going to be talking about on this episode?
Well, you know, from my point of view, I stayed home over the break, and the Luke Sayers story I couldn't get enough of.
Huge story.
And plenty of cricket happened as well, and a little bit of a secret sporting segment that we'll get to later.
Yeah, a few apologies. We may have made a few errors, few factual errors in our lack of expertise, but we'll cover that. Where do we start? We've got to start with this. Look, we've had a lot of influence. This show's had a lot of influence. So you would know that if you'd heard season 1. We had Alan Jones was trying to stop us, and we had him arrested.
The unreleased season 1 is
unreleased season 1.
Influence.
Unreleased by popular demand. by the demand of the courts. Alan Jones tried to stop us last season. We had him arrested. He won't make that mistake again with these outrageous false allegations. Being a kid fiddler. They tried to shut us down with that ridiculous ban of kids. They tried to ban misinformation online, remember that?
That's
right,
the social media ban, yes.
But we finally had a win with our influence. The White House has capitulated. Talk us through that. What has the White House announced?
Well, Trump has decided to open up the traditionally stodgy old media White House briefing room to podcasters, social media content creators and influencers.
That's us. We're all three of those things.
I think it's a direct attempt to curry favour with us. I mean, Kamala Harris's refusal to appear on our show was a turning point in the campaign last year.
I can't forgive it. Yeah,
she wakes up in the middle of the night regretting not appearing on Instant Experts, and
she could have had it. She had it in the bag. All. She had it in the bag,
just like Bogey and Bacall. And so the Donald is not going to make the same mistake, and so he's trying to buy us off, really.
But we can't be bored that easily. We have had a few conversations about going to the White House briefing room and be part of that media coterie, but we've made our position clear. Yeah, that's not enough.
Yeah, we can't do it for free. We're not there. It's not of a particular interest to us from a prestige or status point of view.
No, we already have that prestige and status.
That's right.
Or we would if season aired. Yeah. If season 1 aired, we definitely.
How did you go on the Australia Day honours? By the way, did the AM come through?
I got jammed again.
You robbed again.
It's who you know.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to the King's birthday. But maybe your luck will turn.
We never know. But we were really clear that we don't just want to be invited into the White House room. We want our piece of the pie, and I'm talking about we want our cut of Greenland. That's what we want. And until we get it, we're not going to be in their shitty White House briefing room.
Greenland. Well, let's talk Greenland because I can't think of a better showcase for our lack of expertise than Greenland. Is there a subject we could possibly know less about?
It's hard to know. And you would think in this current environment, guys like us and everybody else probably listening to this podcast, you were a lot of things that none of us know anything about but have felt compelled to opine on. Cardboard submarines, Ukraine, Gaza, obviously. No one knows a fucking thing, but it hasn't stopped anybody from having a very strong view. But Greenland's put it all in the shade.
Well, I did look on Wikipedia, and I learned that Greenland is 22% of the size of the US, so it's sizable.
Yeah.
It's got 57,000 people, so it's the least densely populated country in the world, and it's got a giant ice sheet down the middle.
Is it a separate country or is it just a bit of another country?
Part of the Kingdom of Denmark.
Right.
It has home rule, but it's part of Denmark and has been, for about 1,000 years.
Who's in charge? The bears, the polar bears. Who's in charge? I don't understand who's in charge.
I think the ice is in charge.
The ice is in charge.
It's got the biggest ice sheet in the world, which is melting reasonably quickly.
Bigger than the outer suburbs of Sydney and Melbourne. They've got a pretty big ice sheet, don't they?
Bigger than Melbourne in July, and they think it might actually be 3 islands when the ice melts.
Right, which with global warming will be any day now. We'll find that out this week, probably.
Then a deal.
So why does Trump... This place is obviously a frozen wasteland, a pointless tundra. Why would Trump want it?
Who knows? I think he wants to take over Canada, so I think he sees Greenland as part of Canada. And
right. Does he know it's not part of Canada?
That's unclear.
Yeah.
It's unclear. And maybe he wants to put a military base there so he can, point some missiles at Moscow. But I would have thought his current missiles probably get there without...
I would think.
Too much trouble.
So he made his feelings known, and then the background to the story is he had a phone call with the Prime Minister of Denmark, and that was confronting for her. So I think probably was her first phone call ever. I don't think anyone ever called her. I think they had to set up incoming calls on her rotary dial phone. And
Denmark's a sophisticated, beautiful European country.
Okay, let's just say. And the Prime Minister... Is the Prime Minister still Hans Christian Andersen? Or is he still in the... I don't know.
I think it's Freddie and Bjorn, isn't it?
They're from Sweden. See? Again, not Danish. Anyway, so the Prime Minister had this reportedly horrendous phone call with Trump in which Trump indicated he wanted Greenland. And when the Prime Minister refused, Trump indicated he would start to impose tariffs on Denmark in relation to anything it wanted to import into the United States. But I think, that could be... he wanted to impose a 40% tariff on Denmark.
40% tariff. What are Denmark's expert? You mentioned Hans Christian Andersen. Does that mean the duckling is going to be 40% uglier?
I think the 40% duckling is going to be... The mermaids are going to be 20%, 40%... Littler, I think.
Yeah, that's really cool. Textiles, Emperor's New Clothes, 40%
up.
More expensive.
Permafrost will now be 40% bigger, 40% more peat and moss. The Greenland sharks could be... The 500-year-old Greenland sharks will now be... What's 40% of 500?
Do they have 500-year-old
Yeah, if they're hundreds of years old. They're hundreds of years old, yeah.
Right.
They swim around. They're hundreds of years old.
Swimming around. What are they doing?
Not much.
What are they waiting for?
I don't know.
The ice to melt.
They're waiting for... But they're 40, what's 40% of 500?
That's 200.
Okay, so the sharks are now going to be 700-year-old. Are you happy now?
It's a very old shark.
Very old. The Viking legends. Think of the impact on Denmark's social security and aged care costs of the sharks being 700 years old.
Lego, 40% more missing pieces.
More missing pieces on the Wicked tie-in, whatever the fuck, Defying Gravity Lego set, whatever. Viking legends will be 40% longer.
Well, is that possible?
If that's possible.
Ibsen, is he Danish?
I think he is Danish. And look, as you said, Trump... Say what you like about Trump.
His play is going to be 40% longer, surely not.
Well, that was going to say, Trump has got... People think he's a terrible person, Trump, but he has got some principles. He did say to the Prime Minister he wanted to reassure her in the interest of relations between the two countries that whatever happened, no one wants to see Henry Gibson plays be 40% longer.
I think it's
so he's got there are limits.
His first play is still going. I think the premiere is...
Yeah.
It premiered in 1952.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. I always thought with Ibsen plays... You go to Ibsen plays, the women are always leaning forward and the men are always asleep. If they were honest, every second seat at an Ibsen play would they take out the seat and put it in bed for the men to slap and have a nap.
You did once memorably describe going to the theatre as quote unquote organised snoozing.
But it is certainly.
Let's all get together.
Yeah.
It's Saturday night at the theatre and have a nap.
Yeah. So you got to be careful what you wish for. With this, it could go really bad for everybody if they add 40% to Denmark's the Greenland's exported.
Yeah.
Objects
well, on the other hand, you'd have some sort of icy Mar-a-Lago on the Greenland coast.
Lovely.
It'd be beautiful one day a year.
Be wonderful. So that's not that's been a big story, Greenland, and it's until we get our cut, we're not going in that White House briefing room.
Oh, well, fingers crossed. Now, speaking of Trump, we did make a lot of new friends on the show last year.
We
in
did.
the form of Trump's nominees to cabinet, and we developed a theory. You had to be three things. You had to be unqualified.
Yes, that's absolutely
for the cabinet job you're signing up for. Had to have a history of sexual misconduct.
Ideally.
And then the kicker, you had to be hated by your family.
Mm-hmm. Openly, publicly hated.
Publicly hated, yeah. Not just
so much so your family wants to call you out as a fuckhead to the whole world.
How are we tracking?
You'd have to say Trump's delivering on those three. He's a man of his word. I mean, those are the three principles that have guided his nomination, suggested nominees for the cabinet, and he's doing well. I mean, he's already got one through, Pete Hegseth, now formally the Secretary of Defence. Rousing approval by the Senate. What were the numbers?
51-49, resounding result.
And only because J.D. Vance had to take off his dark glasses and fake beard and hat with with beer caps on it and turn up in the Senate and cast the tie vote, the breaking vote.
Oh, did he really? Oh,
he did.
Me.
But Hegseth's a great guy.
He's the guy. So he's the guy. Serial cheat.
Married 7,000 times.
Yeah, while preaching family values.
After one of his divorces, his own mother came out and wrote a letter to him, which went public, saying, "You're a disgusting misogynist pig. What the hell's wrong with you? I don't recognise you as my son."
Yeah, and he stole money from the Veterans Charity, didn't he?
Yes, the veteran charity he worked for, he was apparently frequently drunk, mostly drunk on the job, and when he was not drunk on the job, he was stealing from a veterans charity fund.
Oh, classy. Now, so he's in charge. So what's he going to do with the military? Is he?
Well, he's doing some good things. He wants women out of the military, presumably so he's got more because he can marry them. Presumably so they can future wives. I assume.
So this guy, the history of cheating and sexual misconduct, he had two options. He could either keep his dick in his pants.
Yeah.
While at work, or kick women out of the military entirely.
Option B.
And he's got option D.
But he also doesn't want. He doesn't want any trans people in the military.
Right.
Now I assume again because he doesn't want any confusion. What if he thinks they're a woman and then he ends up marrying them? That could be.
This is my wife Lola.
Yeah. And that could be. That could be bad. He has committed though. We talked about the alcoholism. He's committed to not being drunk on the job. Imagine a United States National Cabinet Secretary having to give a commitment to the United States Senate not to be intoxicated on the job.
On the job, yeah.
But he hasn't. What's more interesting is the assurances he has not given. He has not given an assurance he won't be stealing from veterans. Again.
Well, he's running the Department of Defence. Never has there been a better time to steal from veterans.
Steal
billions.
In many ways, he's qualified.
Yeah.
He's demonstrated he's got the means and the ability to do
steal
it.
$100, it's your problem. Steal $1 million, it's the bank's problem.
Yeah.
Steal $1 billion, it's America's problem.
Yeah, so I wish him well. He's great. What a great hire.
All right.
But some of the other nominees are in trouble. Right now, as we speak, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., son of the late great senator and presidential candidate Robert Kennedy, is being grilled by the Senate. He's up. He's been nominated to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services. And it's not going that well. Just talk us through RFK Jr.
Well, I know he's an anti-vaxxer, despite all evidence to the contrary. So people who are actual doctors aren't very happy with him, and reasonably so.
Yeah.
Now he's got a history of womanising, so he ticks that box.
Ticks that box.
He's married to an absolutely gorgeous woman in Cheryl Hines.
Yes.
And this is the one that excited me during the week. Caroline Kennedy, erstwhile ambassador to Australia.
Yeah, and daughter of the former President Kennedy.
And daughter of...
First cousin to Robert Kennedy Jr.
Of JFK, has made a TikTok video absolutely sticking it to RFK Jr., saying he's totally unqualified and has been a nasty, evil piece of shit for his whole life. He's got half the family into drugs, is a narcissist.
Never done anything in his life.
Never done anything. He used to put rats in a blender.
To show his cousins how he would feed his falcons.
What?
Because that was his big thing. His most professional qualification was being a professional falconer. Which, for anyone, including us, don't know what the fuck that is because we're not worth $40 billion. That is teaching falcons to fly and hunt stuff and then come back to your own.
Nothing says dilettante quite like falconry.
I mean, it makes people with their own polo farm sound like communists, right? Imagine being a falconer.
We're in Dr. Evil territory.
Just
the
unbelievable.
Details of my life are inconsequential. Someone's in Rangoon, luge lessons, falconry.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Wonderful guy. And he said some, but look, in the Senate, some of his you can't say that Kennedy's not true to his word because, he has stuck by he's done I think you'd say his greatest hits. He's big match player, big event, big forum, doing his greatest hits. He's done them all in front of the Senate. He's done, what are some of the good ones? He's done antidepressants are the main cause of mass school shootings in America. That's one of his hits.
Yeah, not guns.
Not guns, apparently it's antidepressants. One of his biggest hits, which I love, is him denying in the Senate having said, but he did say that the COVID virus was designed to not impact Ashkenazi Jews or Chinese people as much as whites and black people. Now, he said he didn't say it. In fact, he was caught on video saying it. Then when he was caught on video saying it, he admitted he did say it, but he said he was quoting a paper. He's never been able to cite the paper he was quoting. And it's a brilliant theory, except for presumably about the 3 million Chinese people who died of COVID. I mean, it's a genius theory. He's a great guy.
I got some feedback. All right, well, let's keep moving on, Trump.
If it doesn't work out, though, with RFK, the question is who's going to be Secretary of Health and Human Services? Ooh. So waiting in the wings is Ben Carson, who is that rare thing. He's an African-American, highly conservative Republican, ran for president, but he's highly qualified, well-known heart surgeon.
He's a hitter, that guy. He's a serious
individual.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best neurosurgeons in the US, or was anyway, before he retired, and has written a million papers and revolutionary surgery. So he
knows what the fuck he's talking about. You can't possibly have that guy. You can't have that guy.
Him. Yeah.
And his family, I think, likes him. And he hasn't fucked any underage girls. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Make that guy the Secretary of Health and Human Services? Just crazy.
What happened to the guy I'd like to see them bring back is Herman Cain.
Who remind us who Herman Cain was?
Herman Cain was the guy, also black as it happened, but he was
black conservative Republican.
He was the guy, and he ran for president at one stage, I think. But he was the guy who, as usual, sucking up to Trump to try and advance his own career, and in doing so, came out strongly against COVID masks and refused to wear one. And appeared at a Trump rally and then probably died of COVID. Now, that's the guy you want for health and human services, that guy.
Now, we talked about the criteria before. You got to...
And sure, he's dead, but he did less damage than RFK.
Yeah, but apart from being dead, he was well qualified because he knows nothing about health and plenty of sexual scandal.
Yeah.
He was...
dead.
Well, yeah, it should be Herman Cain.
All right, enough of Trump. Maybe let's get back to Australia because we're running a little short of time. We do need.
Well, I do want to call out Trump on one thing. We've bashed Trump a lot.
Yeah. But
the guy actually is a genius. I don't know if you've heard. So there's been a lot of criticism of Trump. He pardoned all these guys who committed effectively treason on January the 6th when they stormed the Capitol.
The guy from Jamiroquai.
Yeah, the guy from Jamiroquai. And one of the guys who's pardoned is already dead. He was shot dead at a traffic stop by a cop.
Excuse me.
So Trump is a genius. This is actually what Trump's doing. I'm saying, why did he pardon these people? It's clear, right?
So wait a second. So this guy is marched on January 6th. He's gone to jail. Mm-hmm. His new year has started.
He's been pardoned by Trump. He's released from jail.
So we've got some good news.
And within about 5 days, he was dead. He was shot by a cop at a traffic stop.
He was released from jail and then shot by a cop.
Yeah, and the cop pulled him over simply to do a license check. And the guy pulled the gun on the cop and the cop shot him dead. But Trump's a genius because think about the money he's saving. This is why he's pardoned these people, right? He's released them from prison, which removes costs from the prison system. And then he has them killed, which is an unemployment solution. So he's saving money all over, saving money from prison system and social security. It's genius.
It's Doge. Look
It's
out.
Doge. It's
all
brilliant.
right. Well, let's.
But you said let's go to Australia. Tell what's happening in Australia.
Well, look, the big one. There's a couple of things to tick off very quickly. Firstly, we do have to, make an apology. We're not afraid to admit when we're wrong on instant experts, and let's face it, we're wrong a lot.
Yeah.
Pat Cummins, we bagged last year for going into the Test series underdone and losing the first Test.
We did.
Made jokes about him, cruel, juvenile jokes about him going to the Woodford Folk Festival.
Yep.
And he came back and won the series 3-1 and played like a god.
Yep.
And now he's home with his wife, who's about to give birth to their first child, and while the rest of the team kicks the hell out of Sri Lanka. So, well done, Pat. We were wrong.
We were wrong. The other person who was wrong was the well-known Sky News host Paul Murray, who famously criticised Pat Cummins for criticising an Australian cricket team sponsor, and his famous call, Paul Murray's, is "Go woke, go broke." But surprising coming from a man who has a nightly audience on Sky of about 8 viewers and is paid about $12 a year. He would know "Go broke."
Yeah. Well, I think
but he was also wrong.
And the cricket rated like crazy, and I think Pat's a very long way from broke.
I would think.
The Aussie women are kicking the hell out of the England women.
Yes.
I don't think the England women are going to win a game.
That's bad. I'm not a cricket expert, but that's bad.
That's bad, yeah. But they are continuing a fine tradition of English cricket, which is being unfit, unable to field, unable to bat, and unable to bowl. So very 1980s and 90s areas.
It's a tribute. The England cricket team, women's cricket team now is a tribute to the 1980s men's team. Completely shithouse, out of shape, can't catch, can't field, can't throw.
At least we don't have the moustaches.
Yeah. Well.
Now, but the big sports story that grabbed me over the break was the Luke Sayers story.
Yeah, so just remind us, those of us who just theoretically, obviously not me, but those of us who might be completely ignorant of sport, might know nothing.
It might have been in Japan the whole time.
Watching pro wrestling.
Japanese.
We'll talk about that in another episode, but I was covering Japanese pro wrestling as a sports reporter for Instant Experts, so don't get too cocky.
Am I paying for this?
Yeah, you're paying for it. Yeah. But let's talk to Luke Sayers. Tell us who he was. Remind us who he was.
So Luke Sayers, a number of things. He was made his name becoming the CEO of PwC.
Yes.
Which under his tenure proceeded to do two things. I think it grew quite a lot, so everyone was happy for a while, and then they were busted simultaneously giving tax advice to the Australian government, or advice on tax policy to the Australian government to collect more tax, while simultaneously leaking the advice and the discussions with the government to their high-value clients, so they could avoid paying tax.
That's bad, right?
Should the policy change in the way they were recommending.
Is that bad?
It sounds pretty bad to me. It sounds like they're working both sides of the street. So Sayers denied all knowledge, but coincidentally moved on as PwC CEO.
He felt the need to spend more time with his family as he was sailing through the window from the 12th floor of PwC.
Something like that. And then started his own consulting firm, which he modestly named Sayers, and picked up a lot of government work, and became president of Carlton Football Club, the AFL club. So that that makes him sort of world famous in Melbourne. In Sydney wouldn't have heard of him, but he's a semi-big deal in Melbourne.
But then problems arose. Tragedy struck.
Problem arose. Then in and around Christmas or New Year, a photo of a very excited nude Luke Sayers appeared on his Twitter feed.
A pantsless Luke Sayers.
Pantsless and jubilant. Excited.
Yeah.
Aroused. Sayers appeared on his Twitter feed, tagging a club sponsor of Carlton and a female executive who worked at the club sponsor. Then a message came out about 12 or 13 or 14 minutes later saying that his account had been hacked and to ignore all content. There are some things you see you can never unsee, of course, and so there are plenty of people out there who are not in a position to ignore the content.
No.
But in any event, denied all knowledge, but lo and behold...
he was hacked, right? He says.
He said he was hacked. His account was compromised or hacked, I think.
And yet
he's decided to resign from Carlton presidency,
Yeah.
has resigned from Sayers, and now his partners want to change the name of the firm.
What do they want to change the name of the firm Sayers to?
Anything but Sayers.
Anything but Sayers. Why don't they just do Truth in Advertising?
Right.
Just
go on.
Throbbing schlongs. Johnson and Johnson. Major Johnsons.
Yeah, a third partner, Johnson and more Johnson.
Yeah. But also, I love the fact, as you pointed out to me before we recorded this episode, the brilliance that his Twitter account was hacked, but he managed to regain control of it 12 minutes later.
That's right. Look, but we shouldn't be too cruel, because we have survived a similar incident of our own.
Well, he's been falsely accused. You've got a theory that, in fact, he was not meaning to post a dick pic. You've got a theory about really what that was, what he was doing.
Do I?
Yeah, it wasn't a theory but it was Christmas, it was season's greetings, wasn't it?
Well, I can't speak for Sayers, but it is. But I do have some sympathy, because it's traditional at Instant Experts for us to send dick pics to all our sponsors at Christmas.
100%. Yeah.
And regrettably, that was not possible in 2024, and the Christmas just gone, because our account was hacked.
We were hacked.
For real.
Yeah.
And the pictures were unable to be sent.
Yeah.
So instead of spending Christmas with our wife and kids unwrapping presents, you and I were personally going around to our sponsors' houses and exposing ourselves.
We were. That's all we could do. That's all Luke Sayers was doing. He was just trying to send a Snapfish, the Christmas card of his dick. Sorry, the person who hacked his account was trying to do that for him. Very thoughtfully. Yeah. That's all we were doing. So when ours couldn't be sent, we had no choice. What were we meant to do? Not go visit our sponsors and expose ourselves? Obviously, we had to do that.
You've got to go the extra mile.
We did it.
Luckily, it's warm in Australia at Christmas.
Yeah. Well, all
didn't look warm.
It felt cold to me.
Well, so needless to say, we're in the market for new sponsors.
And that's why. That is why we need a cut of Greenland. That's why we're not going in that White House press briefing room until we get our cut of Greenland. It's a matter of survival for us.
Excellent.
We don't have any sponsors anymore.
Speaking of matter of survival,
maybe Luke Sayers would sponsor us now. He's got time and money.
We've barely scraped through this episode. We'll still survive until next week. Thanks for your time.
See you next week or for season 3.
Take care. Bye.